Let me take you back to a time before the age of the House of Mouse and its conquest of the galaxy far, far away, before the dark times.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Yeah, a time before this mess of a movie lineup, and before a divided fan base that I genuinely don't know if the franchise will ever recover from. But let's take a time machine back to the 1st of May 1991. There was a space between the release of Star Wars Return of the Jedi and the said date that there was a bit of a drought period for fans of the franchise. An epic sci-fi fantasy of a trilogy has been concluded, with kids and parents alike experiencing Luke Skywalker and crew's final hurrah within the story. But little did people know that the genius of a storyteller known as George Lucas and co were still building out and constructing the rest of his unique universe of space wizards and mythology. And the first story to continue that epic saga, spearheaded and authored by the legendary Timothy Zahn, being the Heir to the Empire trilogy, also known as the Throne trilogy within the EU. EU stands for Expanded Universe, or Legends, to separate it from the Disney canon. This was seen to be as the original episodes 7, 8 and 9 to many people. Timothy Zahn brought our beloved characters back on another epic journey with new worlds, lore, antagonists, but not just a fun cookie cutter piece of entertainment fans could geek out about, but genuine character development, growth and maturity for our cast of heroes. What Zahn does is that he perfectly writes the characters and settings just the way they are from the movies. He's clearly studied the characters in and out, from dialogue to subtle mannerisms and choices only that particular character would make. And I genuinely wouldn't be surprised if this was withdrawn for a screenplay first. The novelization for Luke, Han, Lando are so natural in prose form, it legit felt like there was a movie reel displayed in my mind when I was reading these novels. Heir to the Empire is part of the Star Wars Expanded Universe and takes place 5 years before the Battle of Endor. The Rebel Alliance has destroyed the Death Star, defeated Darth Vader and the Emperor, and have driven out the remnants of the old Imperial Starfleet to a distant corner of the galaxy. The New Republic, acting as the governing body, and now takes hold of a very fragile galaxy to repair the damage that has been done and ensure that another totalitarian power never takes control again. However, the Republic are unaware of a new emerging threat from Imperial ranks, someone who is as cunning as Vader and as intelligent as the Emperor, a blue-skinned, red-eyed Chiss commander known as Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Now tell me, where is your master? Where is Grand Admiral Thrawn?
Thrawn, a genius battle tactician with extremely high IQ and a Sherlock Holmes inspired feel about him. He's hands down the fan favourite within this series and definitely a top 10 on people's list within the lore. Even when he's the main antagonist, there are many times where I caught myself legit rooting for the Imperials to succeed. This dude is so smart, you can't help but support him. I always saw him as kind of like a Star Wars version of Lex Luthor and a mix of A Song of Ice and Fire's Tywin Lannister, but better. He's always calm and collected. He's got no force abilities, and even when they're on the back foot of losing battle, he's thinking 10 steps ahead. He managed to pull out some of the most insane clutches in Star Wars history when it comes to battle tactics, and a very different type of antagonist to his predecessors before him. The Admiral is somewhat to actually give encouragement and motivation to his crew and staff members. Vader, for example, if he would see someone slip up or make a mistake, he would kill them instantly using fear as a tool to keep his troopers efficient. Thrawn, on the other hand, uses respect and loyalty. Damn, even with those red eyes, that guy's such a top boss, man. Like Deep It, the Emperor did not like using aliens at all in the Empire. 99% of the hierarchy of the regime were all humans, or at best human in complexion. Thrawn was so good at his job, Palpatine legit made an exception for him and promoted him to rank of Grand Admiral thanks to his work in the unknown regions of the galaxy, linked to the Outbound Flight project, a story for another time. And again, the only rank above a Grand Admiral is a Grand Moff, and above that is legit Vader. There's levels to this. Like Deep It, in retrospect to the Battle of Endor, it is said if Thrawn was in charge of the Imperial fleet on that day, the rebellion would have lost. With his aid of Captain Pelion, the Dr. Watson to Thrawn's Sherlock Holmes, you could say, and right hand to him on his Star Destroyer codenamed Chimera, they set on a plan on taking back the galaxy from the New Republic, searching aid for a Dark Jedi with the main objective to grow the Imperial fleet as it once was, if not stronger. Even longer lasting effects of the galaxy are taking place. With Jabba the Hutt killed off, there has been a giant power vacuum within the world of organized crime. From smugglers and bounty hunters, a bunch of different players are placing their name on the chessboard. Introducing Talon Card, the new top dog right now, and since the playing field is a lot more even between the Republic and the Empire, both sides of the war are shifting to convince all these smugglers and mafia crews to work for them as glorified third-party members. Card and his crew have this really fun time of jumping between party without each other knowing. He's far more likable than someone like Jabba. Like, compared to the Hutts, he actually has respect for his crew and even ensures the utmost safety for his guests, no matter who they are. And if we're gonna dive into Card's crew of saboteurs and smugglers, I'm here to present Mara Jade, the main female lead, and generally I want to say one of the best female written characters within the entire franchise as a whole. I'm very abaffed how Disney haven't even brought her into the new canon. She's therefore up there with Ahsoka Tano as my favourite female character. A red-headed badass smuggler and eventual future Jedi, her objective is to pretty much kill Luke Skywalker. Reasons I will not spoil, as her origins of how she came to be. The narrative of her is something you'd want to experience yourself. Let's just say she has a past within the Empire and was present during the events of the films. She has her death eyes set for Luke and will ensure that it will happen at all costs. The overall trilogy from Heir to the Empire to Dark Force Rising to The Last Command is kind of like this one giant chess match. And what I mean by that, there's no giant Death Star like weapon ready to blow up planets. There's no powerful figure like a one-man army like Vader anymore. It's legit a power play of battle tactics between both sides of the war. And having the choice of a non-force sensitive antagonist for this saga was a very, very high IQ play from Zon. The main aim in this saga is to gather as many resources and people as they can, from soldiers to ships to smuggler routes. Something I appreciate much more than the rinse and repeat of something like what they did with the newer canon with Starkiller Base. Yeah, I really don't want to start firing shots at the new sequels, but there's level to this, man, come on. Like Disney, take notes. And how could I forget about beloved cast and crew, the gang, Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, Lando, R2 and 3PO. They're all back but in very different stages of their lives, living out of the former Imperial Palace, and our very first introduction to Coruscant as well, a good 8 years before we see the city planet in live action. We're now formerly known as Leia Organa Solo, who's pregnant with a set of force sensitive twins, playing a large role in the formation of the New Republic, where she has to juggle her life between her being a royal diplomat, a Jedi in training with some growth in her force abilities, as well as a mother. Han actually being promoted to a general and actually not being a deadbeat, thanks Disney, has to forcefully learn the world of politics due to his wife's wishes. And Luke still trying to find his way through the galaxy after his final goodbyes to Obi-Wan in the beginning of the story. I wouldn't say he's depressed, but he's a bit lost now not having a mentor figure beside him. Even though quite an experienced Jedi already, he's still nowhere near the likes of the old order before him. And because of that, a dark Jedi in the corners of the galaxy is about to pounce into the scene and expose Luke's vulnerability. Jorus Sabaoth, a dark Jedi in solitude, who's pretty much gone insane. With a complexion of Gandalf the Grey, he's a power-hungry, delusional force user aiming to start a new Jedi order in his own image, with the main objective to bring both Luke and Mara Jade under his wing, but most especially Leia's twins. So we get this really cool dynamic between Thrawn recruiting Mata Sabaoth, as Thrawn believes he will be a strong factor in the downfall of the Republic, and both sides are pretty much playing each other. And you have Captain Pelion just like freaking out on the side, telling Thrawn, yo dude, this guy's crazy. And then like Thrawn's like, bro, I know he's crazy, but just go with it, man. With the title of course being called Star Wars, we have a range of epic battles throughout the entire trilogy of books, from ambushes to sieges, prison breakouts to 1v1 gunfights to climactic lightsaber battles. It has everything and even new concepts to develop the lore. Yes, Lamari for example, these small lizard creatures who have the ability to repel the force by creating a force neutral bubble, something you know Thrawn is going to utilize in the presence of someone like Jorus Sabaoth or Luke Skywalker. Think of it as like a Jedi equivalent to Kryptonite. With someone like Thrawn having no abilities other than his mind, it puts all sides on even ground. The overall read from beginning to end was just fun. I never had any pacing problems during my read, and even if there was slow scenes, the words are equivalent to poetry, especially if the words are coming out of Thrawn's mouth. He's a connoisseur of art, which I really appreciate, using artistry to read his opponents. He's too cold, man. And to be honest, the fact that you see the cast again is just awesome on its own. The gang do split up a lot, mirroring a lot of the way they were in the original movies, but I did like the new combination of characters that got together within a lot of the sequences of the story. From Chewie escorting Leia on their own diplomatic mission on a planet ruled by the Empire, you got Han and Wedge up in the sky fighting dogfights together, then you have Mara Jade and Luke Skywalker, which personally are probably my best scenes within the story. The EU for Star Wars is so vast and awesome. If you want to dip your toes into it, Timothy Zahn's got to be your gateway in. He was mine, so yeah, I've got to recommend him. But like, if I were to make a Mount Rushmore statues of Star Wars storytellers, mine is George Lucas, of course. It would be Jon Favreau of Mandalorian fame, Dave Filoni of Clone Wars and Rebels, Drew Kopshin of the Old Republic stories such as Darth Vader, and of course Timothy Zahn of the Thrawn trilogy. And definitely a series that is strong with the Force. And that is the reason why you should read the Thrawn trilogy, Heir to the Empire Book 1, Dark Force Rising Book 2, and of course The Last Command Book 3. It's the perfect gateway into the EU. The writing itself just feels so natural, man, honestly, when it comes to the dialogue of the characters and how they're presented. Genuinely, it's legit. Like, I say this with books and any fantasy book that's written really well, it's legit a movie projected in your mind. And if that happens while you're reading, the author has done a 10/10 job. And also, just one thing, I didn't realize this till I was actually editing the video. If you've played Jedi Fallen Order, one of the boss fights is Talon Malicos, and he's like a fallen Jedi and he's like an older man. And I feel like, I don't know if it's true or it's confirmed or not, but there's a lot of parallels between Malicos as well as Sabaoth in these books. If you're a fan of Malicos in Jedi Fallen Order, there's a lot of influence of that character within Sabaoth in Heir to the Empire. So if you want more of that, definitely give these a read as well. And with that said, that was my review on why you should read these books. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you have read the books. What is your favourite EU novel of the Legends canon? And what is your favourite Star Wars story? What's your favourite Star Wars EU character as well? But yeah, with that said, I am signing out. This is YK2K. Thank you for watching. And with that said, I shall see you guys next time. And may the Force be with you.